You are listening to the Average Pundits podcast on your favorite streaming platform.
Hiya guys, and welcome back to the Average Pundits podcast, your home of all things Premier League. And we are coming at you with our end of the season review. It's hard to believe it. We finally got there. All things considered with COVID, everything. I can't actually believe this season is finished. Neither of our two teams top the leaderboards, which, you know, well, at the start of the season, maybe one of our teams could have done. I was a bit skeptical about mine, but, you know, if Liverpool could have done, but wow, how did that turn out? As always, I am joined by Reese, and we've got a lot to talk about in this one. But Reese, how did this season go? I want to give you a little challenge on the dot. One word to sum up the season.
Frustrated.
Frustrating. Good one.
Frustrated.
Frustrating. That's the soundbite.
Like, just it's the up and down. Like, yeah, I know that the end of the season came. Liverpool finished third, but just the whole, everything with the restrictions and, just kind of watching without fans, the Super League coming up and everything to do with that. It's just been really frustrating. The Sky deals and stuff like that, the prices of watching games. What was it? The purchasing individual games for a fee.
Yeah, that cannot be forgotten. That's going to get brushed under the rug. That cannot be forgotten.
Super League is going to brush that under the rug, though.
Yeah, no, and it will. There's a lot of stuff with this season which will get brushed under the rug, and it really shouldn't. But but here we are. We've had deadline day. We saw fans going back into stadiums for deadline day, which was not deadline day, end of the season. But we're now ready for an exciting summer. We've got the Euros as well, which I'm sure we will be doing some coverage for.
Coming home. It's coming home.
It's coming home. We can believe this time. It'll be very interesting. I don't know if it's later today, actually, that Gareth Southgate will be revealing his squad. So if you keep an eye out on our socials, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all those places, I'm sure we will have a little bit of a few thoughts on our social media platforms on that specific team. But it's going to be an interesting one. A lot of injuries going around for the Euros now. It's going to be weird to see who's going to be called up. If we're going to take injured players, I'm not too sure. Is there any big doubts? Apart from Maguire and Henderson, they're looking like they ain't going to go. Grealish maybe.
Grealish, I think, semi-fit. I think Grealish will make it. Henderson's going to be a big blow.
Yeah.
Apart from that, I don't think there's any real injury. Madison, maybe. James Madison.
Madison's always a bit topsy-turvy in there. It's hard to know what his
I don't think he's had the best of seasons, so I think we'll go with Mount over him. Definitely we'll go with Mount, but I think we'll go with Foden over Madison.
Yeah.
But, it's been a really good season for English players. Jack Grealish, Mason Mount's been awesome. Harry Maguire's been really good.
Yeah.
Well, I say really good. He's been one of the key players for United, despite the huge fee for a 30 million valued player.
He's a boy, mate. I think he's had a good one. I said it in our team of the season episode. If you haven't seen that, go and check that out. But I thought he deserved a little shout in there. But we have a lot of our full shouts for the season in that team of the season debate if we're talking about individual players and stuff. But we're going to go through some of our highlights, our key moments. I'm not sure if you've got any, Reece, so we can kick this off with.
Well, how about I kick us off with just talking about the biggest surprise and the most improved team of the season?
Okay, go on.
West Ham United.
West Ham United. See, I think West Ham this season, I said it in last week's podcast as well, they have absolutely charmed me this season. They have been fantastic, and I've really thoroughly enjoyed watching them. They had a win on the last day of the season as well, but players all around the pitch just performing at ridiculous levels. That's the thing, just absolutely ridiculous levels. Declan Rice, Thomas Souček, Jesse Lingard, plenty of players that were absolutely just loving it. And I think it was instrumental to have a manager like David Moyes in the fray. And obviously, he's been no bloke short of criticism during his managerial career. There's been plenty of times that, it's been spoken so much it's not worth mentioning. But it was an odd appointment when they got him. I thought it was weird they went back to get Moyes because it didn't work out the first time. But you can't fault it. They need to have a good window now because there's a certain player which could be a bit of a transfer saga, which we will mention in a bit. But I believe you 100% West Ham have been an absolute delight to watch this season.
Yeah, absolutely. You see a team that's gone from 16th last season. I think I predicted them to finish 15th, and I think that's probably my worst prediction of when the podcast back in the day. If you want to go and look at that right at the beginning of the season, we made some predictions, and I think I predicted West Ham to finish 15th, an improvement one place of last season, and they've gone an improvement of 10 this season. I think it's just been instrumental. I don't know how it's happened. They didn't do too much in terms of business, but I can only just kind of attribute it as to what Leicester did back in 2016 or whenever when they won the league, and how good they were, and just working as a team. That's how they kind of did it. They worked as a team, didn't they? So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're probably going to come on to it right now. Well, I'm going to bring him up anyways. The guy that's been instrumental, probably the player of the month, one of the players of the season, definitely the player of the season for West Ham, Jesse Lingard, who I have not been too kind to. Do I owe him an apology? No, I don't. He doesn't deserve an apology. But he's been good this season. I can't lie. He's been very good this season. He was a bit late to the party. That's why we didn't mention him in the team this season last week. But yeah, I mean, you being a United fan, being the home club of Jesse Lingard, do you think he gets back into the United team?
That is a question. You see, he's directly competing with Bruno, and Bruno's always gonna win that battle. He just is. Jesse Lingard's been in great form, but Bruno's gonna win that battle. United were also deploying him off the right wing, which wasn't his position. He plays as a 10. That's his best position. So I wouldn't want to see him come back in and contest for a position on the right. I'd much rather either stick with the Greenwood, Dan James thing we've been doing this season, or I'd go out and splash for Sancho in the summer. But I don't necessarily think he gets into the starting 11 straight away. We may find a way for him. I don't want to sell him. I don't want to sell him. I think he can come back in and do a job for us. But his stock right now has never been higher. Whether that was a half season of I'm going to show everyone what I can do, or whether it's going to be like the Jesse Lingard turns a new leaf, or we're not sure. That's hindsight would be a great thing. I mean, it would be amazing to see what was going to happen. But I personally think if United are going to sell him, we'll look for no less than 40. I genuinely think we'll look for around 40 mil. Honestly,
I don't think you sell him.
I don't think we'll sell him, but I think if an offer came in, it would have to be anywhere between 30 to 40. But at the same time, the kind of performances he was putting up out of nowhere, his stock would have risen exponentially.
That's true, but I guess you got English tax on there as well. But he's not worth 40 million. He's barely worth 30.
I don't know, but I think it's a 40 million gamble. He's an experienced Premier League player. It's just a case of realistically to really push on with his career. He maybe shouldn't have been at United for as long as he has been, because look at Jesse Lingard's highlight reel, and it's like the cup final goals. It's like the goals at the Emirates, the stuff that everyone always calls back to. But realistically, that's a small chapter of a big resume. He's been a crucial big game player at times, but I think if he wanted to really push forward with his career, he should have probably left quite a while ago now. But albeit we've managed to retain him, and to our benefit as well, he has been the one to score those crucial goals for us. But we're at a turning point now where this summer could be so critical for him, as well as a lot of West Ham players. I mean, you mentioned Jesse Lingard being their player of the season. I mean, that's almost doing a discredit to Declan Rice, Thomas Souček, who has been incredible. And even Soufal, a right back as well. He's been fantastic as well. Craig Dawson he's had a fantastic season. Even like the games that I've seen Mikel Antonio play, I wish he just found his footing as a striker, because I have no idea where that bloke plays. I'm sorry, I do not know.
Plays everywhere.
Striker,
everywhere in the front
right wing, right mid, right back. I don't know, but I wish he got a few more goals, because there were times where I remember against United, God, that man was so unlucky not to score. Honestly, it was terrifying. But West Ham, certainly, they have been bar, obviously, you take your own club out of the equation. They have been my favourite team to watch this season. I think they've played some very good football. Very good football.
Yeah, you kind of kind of comparing them to Leicester earlier, and everyone didn't want Spurs to win the league that season, so we all wanted Leicester to win. We all wanted West Ham to do well this season. We all were clowning on Spurs and Arsenal, who we'll get onto later. But I want to take it back to Jesse Lingard just for a second, though. You mentioned the 40 million price tag has spun my head. He's 28. He's turning 29 next year.
He's 28, 29, but you capitalise while the iron's hot, don't you? I mean, not being funny, but if United put a public thing out there saying, okay, we're behind the scenes, we're interested in selling Jesse Lingard, clubs are going to come circling like sharks because they've seen what he's done at West Ham. West Ham are going to want him. Whether West Ham have the funds that are going to turn United's head, I'm not saying that Jesse Lingard's going to be some world-ending 80 million, you know what I mean? But I honestly think that it can just be a short period of time, and that's all it takes to make the stock of players just absolutely just run rampant. It can go crazy. We've seen it so many times before. I mean, Harry Maguire was a very competent player at Leicester, very good player, and a good player for us at the World Cup as well. He was a solid defensive player. Was he worth 80 million? No, not at all. We all know that. But he had a solid season with Leicester. He had a solid World Cup. United wanted to cash in, and Leicester took us all the way to the top to get him. And we showed just how important he was to our plan. We showed how much we wanted him. And he had a very rocky first season. But I mean, this season, he's been a lot more steady on the ball. He's been very influential. It's a shame because we're probably not going to have him for the Europa League final. We're probably not going to have him for the Euros, the way it's looking. But we'll have to wait and see. But obviously, a bit of a tangent there. But my point being is that obviously it can take a small period of time. It can take a few games, and stock really rises. Do you remember, random thing to bring up, but when Dusan Tadic dropped that incredible performance against Real Madrid for Ajax in the Champions League, where he was, I can't remember how many players have got it. It's barely in, but like L'Equipe, rated his performance as a 10 out of 10, and they've only given that to like a select few players of all time. I think one of them was R9 Ronaldo, and that was Dusan Tadic, the Southampton reject, and he was incredible. And for that moment in time, people looked at what he could do, and I genuinely think there were probably quite a few offers for him, but now he's evened out. He's a good player for Ajax, but it can take these moments of madness. You've got to cash in while the iron's hot. You never know. I mean, the most messed up thing is you never know what's going to happen to talented players. Erling Haaland next season could be terrible. We don't know that. I mean, I sincerely doubt it because the man is an absolute machine, but we don't know. We do not know. This is the thing. So I reckon Jesse Lingard, if someone wants to buy him from United, they'll have to pay money. They'll have to pay a fee.
They will, but I would not be. I would say at maybe 25 million, I'd pay for him.
But even after all of the goals and assists he's put up for West Ham, not being funny, but he's in a short period of time, he has shot up the leaderboards. Obviously, he was never going to go and compete with KANE. KANE, obviously, there's so much to talk about KANE later. We'll have a whole thing with KANE, but in a short period of time, my God, that man's stock rose high. My God,
it did, but. Again, I can't put it past that. It's just Jesse Lingard. He's not young. If he was, but 4 years younger, or even 2 years younger, I'd get the 40 million price tag. But he's at a point now where he's not getting any younger.
He's not, but at the same time as well, he may come back and say to United, "Look, I've been playing some of the best football of my career at West Ham. I want to go. Can you make this happen?" You're not going to be like, "Yeah, we can make that happen, but we're going to want to get the money for you." And it's entirely down to United's valuation. I mean, like I said, we'll talk more about KANE, but Daniel Levy holds all the cards. KANE wants to go. I think he pretty much all but confirmed that this season could be very, very critical for him. But realistically, Daniel Levy, he will not even turn his head unless he hears 150 plus. In my opinion, would I pay that for KANE? He's a fantastic player, and obviously the current state of the market that is roughly what you're going to have to pay for someone like him, because he was the top scorer and assister in the Premier League this season. The man is absolutely, he's the top goal scorer and assister this season, and they finished what, 7th? And they're going into what was it? Is it the Europa Conference or something? The European Conference.
They're going to be playing at
Which is
stadiums where trains roll through. It's going to be hilarious.
Yeah, genuinely, they're like new, like, competition that they've set up, and fair enough. Like, if you want to get more European football, I'm not even massively against it. I do think it maybe cheapens the idea of playing in Europe, because like realistically, I mean, like, even if it was just the Champions League, you'd understand it. But like we have the Europa as well, so other teams can get a chance. But 3 European competitions, make of that what you will. But
I think it's a good thing.
Level.
That's going to make away days for Spurs fans unreal.
Well, yeah.
Spurs fans are going to love going to a cheaper ticket. I think this is what this was an argument that I saw a West Brom fan had with going back down to the Championship. He was all for it because he's like, cheaper ticket prices. He doesn't have to pay 70 quid to go to Stamford Bridge, which is a huge talking point. The ticket prices of the Premier League are stupid. And so all he has to do is go and watch West Brom against Rotherham for £10 a ticket, sit in the away end, and probably watch them win most weeks. Spurs are probably going to win that Conference League. Let's be honest.
I mean, they've still got like even if KANE goes, they've got Heung-Min Son, and he's just incredible. They've got like Ndombele, they've got Lascelles, they've got players who can do it. So I won't lie to you, depending on where else the current state of the European clubs that are going into that competition are, they probably will win it. They were at one point, I think, maybe like joint favourites with maybe United to win the Europa League, and they crashed out of that in embarrassing fashion. But this has genuinely been one of the worst seasons for Tottenham ever. It's been so bad. And the top goal scorer and assister in the Premier League is 7th place in the table. Let that sink in.
They're a 2-man team. KANE and Son are the only players that are class in that team. Maybe Hugo Lloris, but even still, he's getting old. He's old. Like, I'm not talking like 30 years old, because keepers can pass that. He's getting old.
Yeah, he is getting on. I mean, and they do need to look at an exit plan. I think I saw that. You got to forgive the pronunciation, but is it Maignan or something like that? Maignan, yeah, from what was it? From Lille.
Yeah.
And obviously Lille have just won Ligue 1, which is absolutely amazing. Fair play to them. But he's now going to like AC Milan, I think I've heard, for like 15 million to apparently replace Donnarumma. Because Donnarumma, I think if Donnarumma's going somewhere, it's probably going to be Juventus. Let's not beat around the bush. They're like an Italian keeper. So I mean, I was just saying that little move there. That's a league-winning goalkeeper going to a top European club for like 15 million. Why on earth have other clubs not been looking at that?
Because Daniel Levy's too busy trying to stop KANE from leaving.
This is the thing. It's going to be so catastrophic for Spurs because they're going to focus so hard on how to keep him that realistically the rest of the team's crumbling. KANE and Son are the only constants in that team. Like Gareth Bale, I mean, fair enough to Gareth Bale. He's ended up in double figures for goals and assists this season, which, fair enough. I don't think you can't call it a flop at all now. At this stage, you can. You can call it maybe not what they need. It was a very short fix. And also, it's not even like the fans benefited from it massively, because they can sit there and say, well, Gareth Bale came back to our club, but they didn't get to see him, which is a real shame. They only saw him very briefly, which is awful for them. You know what I mean? It's crap. So I feel sorry for Spurs fans in that sense. But that Gareth Bale deal at the start of the season, we were both looking at that thinking, why? Because he's now going back to a Real Madrid team who despise him. And I've seen so many reports that like they want to get rid of Bale and Hazard. So I mean, Real Madrid, they're a club in the mud themselves. I mean, you have to go, and if you want to know more about Real Madrid and their current predicament, you want to go look at Has Karim's Twitter. That man loves a Real Madrid brand. He knows he loves that club through and through. So go look at his Twitter. Shout out Has.
I do think Bale wants to move though, because there was a comment that he said at the end of the season. It was like, "Oh yeah, I do know where I'm going, but I don't want to set the world on alight yet," or something like that. I'm just like, well, he's definitely not going to Madrid. I
Yeah,
think he's going. To be fair, I don't even think he's going to the Chinese Super League because they're in the mud too.
yeah, he'll be going to America, I think, won't he?
Yeah, join David Beckham in Inter Miami.
Probably will. He'll have a great time over there as well. Like, I'm not being funny. Why not? Why not? You've had the best years of your playing career. You've given to like the end of your Spurs tenure and the start of Real Madrid. You've scored an overhead kick in a Champions League final. You sore spot. But like his resume is crazy, and like he had to put up with a lot of Madrid as well. But also, I think Madrid fans have a different side to the story. It's a whole complex issue that, but it is what it is. But Spurs definitely, like, it's good we're talking about Spurs now, because I do not know what this summer's going to hold. Because I mean, I'll give you a little one now. I mean, Kane, where does he go? I mean, let's talk it through. Bayern Munich, I think, is off the table. They've got Lewandowski. They don't need him. And Lewandowski is the only other person on the planet who could challenge Kane for that best striker in the world title at the moment. I think Mbappe and Haaland, because I don't know if you class Mbappe as a right winger striker,
Probably a striker, yeah.
and then Haaland is like, he's in that those four are easily the best in the world. But obviously Bayern, you write Bayern off. PSG, there's always that PSG link there. Pochettino, potentially Mbappe leaves to Real Madrid this summer. You never know.
I don't think he leaves England.
I don't think he. I think he would like to do more in England. I think he would like to lift the Premier League title, and if he
wants Shearer's goal record.
He wants that. He'll want that too. But I reckon if Kane wants a Premier League title, if he wants that as soon as possible, there's only one place he can go.
There's only one place that can afford him.
Well, I think there's a couple. I think there's a couple in the Premier. I think United and City could both afford him. I think he would honestly suit, in theory, how United play. But you go to City, it's done. It's done.
You go to
the only
United,
thing that the only thing that's rubbish about United is that we're terrible with crossing. Which obviously Kane's a big meathead and he can get the headers, but also United are like one of the best teams in the Prem for counter attacks. That's one thing I will say about us. We are very competent with counter attacking football. That's how we play. So you have players with the speed of and speed and the vision of Bruno and Pogba, Rashford. Kane he's gonna love that. But
imagine, like, so you got Kane and Son at the moment. Imagine Kane and Rashford.
Mate, don't.
That's it.
Would I love Kane at United? Of course, I would love Kane at United, but I just can't see it anywhere but City. It's literally like everything is built to it. I think like Mbappe to City would not make sense. I think Kane or Haaland would. Haaland, obviously, his dad played for City. He's born in England as well, Haaland. And, speaker of the language, fluent speaker of the language, absolute goal machine. And to play under a manager like Pep would love it. But Kane, if Kane's available, do you also go for Kane,
I think Kane's a proven commodity, though, isn't he? Like Haaland, yes, he's done it in Salzburg. He did it in Austria. He's done it in the Bundesliga, kind of. Not quite. I think that
the only thing that I'm scared of is that if someone doesn't go and get Haaland right now, I mean, this will be all for the Bundesliga, but maybe say Lewandowski has another season at Bayern and then either slows down a bit, or it was like, I want a new challenge, and maybe Lewandowski goes to America, or maybe he goes to China. You know what I mean? But he goes somewhere else for the money. Maybe he goes over to the Serie A. That's something that I could see. And then Bayern just go, right, okay, then come on, Haaland.
Nah, I generally do think that Lewandowski's going to retire at Bayern Munich.
I think he should. At this rate, I think he should.
Because he's, 30-something now?
Or if they do, I'll tell you what would be the most Bundesliga thing you've ever heard. If they do some weird swap deal, Lewandowski for Haaland.
That would be that. Yeah, Lewandowski going back to Borussia Dortmund.
That is the most Bundesliga thing you could possibly think of. Lewandowski going back to Dortmund for because even with Hummels and stuff like that, he was given a real big welcome, thinking wow, you mean he went to your rivals? So did Goetze.
Yep.
And just they're just fine with it, and it's okay, cool. If that's happening in Tottenham and Arsenal, like Liverpool and Everton, it's different. It's different.
Yeah, you wouldn't find someone going from Chelsea to City, would you?
You wouldn't.
Wow.
Why? It would just be a weirder scenario. I mean, I don't know. Like realistically, like Sol Campbell going from like Spurs to Arsenal is like it's no different really to like Hummels going from Dortmund to Bayern. But then again, Hummels comes back and everything's happy. It's a weird one, but obviously Bundesliga, that's not our specialty. We got sidetracked. Tottenham's going to be one to watch. It's going to be one to watch.
Tottenham are in the mud.
They are. But another team that are in the mud that you mentioned that I think is a nice easy transition. We've got to talk about Arsenal, man.
Arsenal.
Oh man, what a shocking season again. Terrible.
Oh, funny. It's so funny.
Did I see maybe this is like the first time Arsenal haven't been in any European competition in like I don't know if I saw like 20 years or something.
More than likely.
Like what is that? Like, and Arteta's still got the job.
Arteta's at the wheel.
He is at the wheel, mate. He's very much at the wheel. I mean, I'm more than happy for him to be at the wheel. If he wants to stay there, that's fine.
Yep, I'm fine with that too. I'm fine with them finishing 10th next season.
I saw like even then, like I know he's been just one of the most memed players at Arsenal, but even like David Luiz going, like because he's played his last game for Arsenal, that's done. They're not renewing his contract. He's still their most competent defender.
I'd say Rob Holding.
Maybe.
Or to be fair, Gabriel's not had a too bad of a season.
And then they've got William Saliba, but God knows what's happening with him. God knows. Less said about him for now, the better, because we don't know.
Going back on loan.
Yeah, maybe back on loan. But
although to be fair, they need him. They need a back five at this rate because they can't play Hector Bellerin. They need to play Rob Holding, Gabriel, and William Saliba all in the back four.
I also think that Callum Chambers this season has also been one of their best defenders. I've seen the performances I saw him putting in at right back were better than anything I've seen of Bellerin for like the last 2 years, and that's Callum Chambers. Man, it's beyond the pale. It's like, how is Granit Xhaka still there?
Yeah, exactly.
He's still there.
Why isn't Ainsley Maitland-Niles just growing up and playing right wing back?
I don't know, but more or less, why are they not even respecting Maitland-Niles? They put him on loan to West Brom.
And he's the best player at West Brom one of the best players at West Brom this season.
Yeah, no, he is. He was a very impactful little signing. And also, like, obviously, they went all hot and heavy for Martin Odegaard. And also, to me, that was, like, again, one of the most Arsenal things ever. Because, yeah, well done. You've signed a really good player on a 6-month loan. And that is, realistically, he's been good for you. But that has not impacted your season the way you needed at all. I'm not being funny. They're probably going to go and try and make that permanent. They may well get it. But they'll have to pay. They'll have to pay a fee for him again. But then again, Real Madrid do not like selling, like, attacking midfielders. The last one they sold was Ozil, and that was probably a mistake. Because, he went to Arsenal and he was fantastic until Arsenal ruined him. But yeah. I think they've got a lot to sort out. They've got Lacazette and Aubameyang to sort out.
Oh, they need to ditch Aubameyang.
Well, the thing is, I think it's easier to sell Lacazette than it is to sell Aubameyang, in my opinion. Because Lacazette, you could still get a commodity for. But Aubameyang, I think, because he's had such a topsy-turvy season, I think he's still Arsenal's top scorer. But because he's had such an iffy season, I think you can still rejuvenate it if they were smart and tried to build the team around him and how he plays. I mean, a couple of things that you will say about Arsenal. They've got Bukayo Saka, who is he's a baller. He is a
cracking player.
They've got Emile Smith-Rowe, who I think with the proper coaching could be special as well. They've got Martinelli, who for some reason Arteta just doesn't seem to rate. I mean, obviously he's had a lot of injury problems, but I don't think he's been played anywhere near enough as he should be for Arsenal. And also Joe Willock.
Yeah, line it up at Newcastle.
We got to talk about Newcastle in a separate segment. Maybe we could talk about Newcastle next month. But Joe Willock as well. Again, we'll talk about him. But like, what is needed? How do you even begin to fix them? Because the defence, midfield, and attack aren't good enough.
Well, they need to shift Bellerin. They need to shift Xhaka. They need to get someone in the midfield that can control alongside Thomas Partey. They need to get a goal scorer that's not Nicolas Pepe. I'm so embarrassed that I said Aubameyang for the Golden Boot winner. I really am. Like I genuinely thought Aubameyang. I predicted Arsenal to finish 5th, and for Aubameyang to have the Golden Boot.
I mean, when they got that Thomas Partey deal over the line, it was very impressive business, and it made me really annoyed because it was like, how have no other clubs been looking into this? Because he was a fantastic player at Atletico, but you got to wonder if he's kicking his teeth, because I don't know if you knew this, but he got a winners medal. Because Atletico won the league. He played like one game for him. He got a winners medal.
You love to see it.
You do. I mean, fair enough. I mean, that's the only piece of, so that's the only medal he's going to be getting anytime soon. So he may as well.
Unless Arsenal go back to trying to win the FA Cup 5 years in a row.
Yeah, unless they just the FA Cup merchants again.
Yep.
But yeah, no, Arsenal are definitely a team that have struggled, and I personally think that like the decision to keep Arteta in the job was wrong. I think it was a bad decision to sign him in the first place, and that isn't even Arteta's fault. It's not. He's doing what he can with the team he's got, but he's also not the bloke to do the job. So I mean, I think obviously now hindsight would have been a great thing, but we now know that Nuno has, he's left Wolves. We'll talk about Wolves as well, but I think Nuno could have been so good for Arsenal. I really do. Because Arsenal don't even just need new players; they need a whole new team playing style. Because they really don't even have one.
Nope.
There's no identity there, and Nuno, I think he was getting a bit stagnant towards the end at Wolves. But if he has a new team, a new set of players, more money, because he would have more money, it could have been good. But it's another weird one.
I think he's going to the other team in London.
Oh, see, that would also be a good signing.
I genuinely do think Nuno is going to Spurs.
Again, though, he would, in my opinion, I do think that Spurs is definitely an easier fix than Arsenal. It's not going to be entirely easy, but it's better. It's an easier job than the Arsenal job would be. But at the same time, Nuno has got to start from scratch, really. And I think another big problem is that Arsenal have had managers in since Wenger that haven't had the ball to get rid of the deadwood. I think Spurs might be the same. You think Jose Mourinho, when Jose Mourinho came to United, I was thinking, oh, right, here comes the chop. I was waiting for loads of players to go left, right, and centre, but my God, none of them did. He kept so many stagnant players, and he did exactly the same as Spurs. So Nuno, if he goes to either Spurs or Arsenal, he's going to have some bottle.
Yeah,
he's going to have someone. Have to cut him.
I think that with Nuno, you've got to look at, he brought in a load of these great players that he knew just fit the team. He brought in Jota, Ruben Neves, or as Derek Ray likes to, Ruben Neves. Just all these maestros that love to control the ball. Raul Jimenez. He made the Wolves team as to what they are. He just attracted Rui Patricio of all keepers. Portugal's number one, and he got some pulling power. He did a lot of good things with Wolves. They haven't done great this season, but injury woes. They're out without their top goal scorers, with Jota going to Liverpool and Jimenez just being injured. So I think that he was missing his identity, which was his big players up front.
Yeah.
And so I think with Spurs, you go with Harry Kane. You let him leave, and then I think you got to just invest that where which is something that Nuno was very good at doing, investing it in the right areas and doing what you can with that. And I think with Arsenal, you can raise a lot of funds. You can sell Xhaka, you can sell Bellerin, you can sell all the deadwood. You could maybe sell Ceballos if you want to, but I think he's a decent player. You can sell Lacazette. You can sell potentially Aubameyang if you want to. Sell him to Inter Miami or someone in sell him to Barcelona.
They'd probably take him.
Exactly. It's or sell him to Bayern Munich. Just sell him to somewhere for £40 million. I know that's a cheap, but just sell him somewhere. Get the money.
it wouldn't even surprise me if obviously this Haaland situation, it could end up with Aubameyang going back to Dortmund. They love a player returning. They love it.
Exactly. Let's just let him go back to Borussia Dortmund,
Yeah.
and light the Bundesliga up for the rest of his career.
Yeah. I mean,
Sell all the dead wood and invest in the youth.
I mean, let's mention with Wolves though. Obviously, we said that Nuno was going around. I think Wolves have had, in my opinion, they've had a quite a poor season. I think they have. I think realistically, I think Nuno did get extremely stagnant there. I think the players got a bit stagnant. I think selling Jota was it impacted them a lot, and also Jimenez getting injured. No one could have predicted that, and it was an awful injury as well. So hopefully he's back fit and firing soon because he's a fantastic player. But like, they just tried to replace Jimenez with a cut and paste replacement. What was it? What was his name that they got in? William
Jose.
Yeah, and that's literally just a guy who is again tall, not as quick of a striker, but just a good poacher of the ball and stuff. But he hasn't really worked out for them either on a short term. At least it was only a loan. But yeah, like I feel like Wolves now would need to get somebody in who can build on what Nuno has started, not differentiate too much, play a similar style of play, but they're going to need to, again, use them links and get some good players in. And maybe, obviously, Mendes pulling the strings from his puppeteer chair. You know, he might have a Portuguese manager in mind. Who knows? I mean, if Jose hadn't gone into a job so quick, you know, maybe Jose would have gone to Wolves. That would have been funny.
Imagine that, just Jose getting sacked from Spurs, Nuno getting a Spurs job, and then Jose getting the Wolves job. That'd be insane.
A little side note as well, actually, what is really interesting is that Tottenham are going to have to play Roma in this new European Conference League thing.
I'm gonna. You know what? Roma might win that though.
They could also win it. They gave us a hell of a two legs. So
because Arsenal went out to Unai Emery. So imagine Spurs going out to Jose Mourinho in that Conference League. That would be so funny.
Yeah, it would be poetic, wouldn't it? What about Newcastle? We were going to talk a little bit about Newcastle in terms of another interesting season that they've had, because again, probably hasn't been good enough again. And Newcastle fans will have to, like, I think when Steve Bruce came in and he did better than was expected, and now he's gone a bit stagnant again. And I feel like Callum Wilson was a fantastic signing. What a signing! I mean, again, injury issues aside, he was a good signing. Saint Maximin. I mean, who knows if he'll be able to stay this season?
Oh, what a player!
Yeah,
What a player! He is the best dribbler in the league. I'm saying that now. Did you see him? And what was it? Was it the last game of the season?
yeah.
So he dribbles into the box and he hits this like no look skill move pass to someone else. I can't remember who it was, but he genuinely. So I was in love with Adama Traore, right, throughout the last season. Then he got pretty absolute doo-doo this season. Alan St. Maximin, yes, he took a hiatus for unknown reasons. But he's just class upon class upon class.
Yeah. He is a baller. I mean, you say that about Adama Traore. I don't know what this really says about Spain, but he's just been called up to the Spain squad.
The Spain squad is awful.
It's bad. It's bad.
Like,
if anyone's watching this or listening to this and they haven't seen the Spain squad, go and have a look at it, because it is weird.
It's so bad.
Yeah, it's a big fall from grace considering, like, you know, where they used to be. I mean, there's a lot of probably really good Spanish players that maybe we don't know enough about because we're not religiously watching the BBVA. But there are some in there, and you're a bit like, ooh, really?
Like, you look at, I think it was the 2010 World Cup. They played without a striker.
Yeah,
they played with Cesc Fabregas up front. Okay, I think Torres might have been injured, and you know obviously they didn't have Diego Costa at that point. Yeah. They played with Cesc Fabregas, and they still won the thing.
Yeah, and it worked. I mean, and where they're at now is crazy. But yeah, Adama Traore's up with them now. But I mean, like, yeah, Saint Maximin definitely. I was always a skeptic, man. I always thought he was a bit too flashy, and I was, you know, I couldn't help but get over it. Like the step overs, the skills in the game, the Newcastle shirt. I was just always thinking, is this just another Ben Arthur? But he does have a good mentality. He wants to, and also, like, I mean, I don't even know how much they paid for him. like 30. Was it like 30 million they paid for it? They definitely spent a bit of money on him.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like, I mean, what signing? But is it what they needed? No. I mean, he was way too good for them, and also just their team's just like really heavily just tilted to the right wing side. That's the best side. The rest of the team's just rubbish.
Well, to be fair, like they signed Ryan Fraser as well, though, at the beginning of the season. They signed Callum Wilson and Ryan Fraser, who I think Newcastle were did some of the best business in the transfer window. They went out and got
We got Jamal Lewis at left
Jamal
back.
Lewis. They went to the relegation clubs, which is what we advise every single time for those mid-table clubs. Go and coach those relegated teams.
Go do it. It's got to be. It doesn't happen enough, you know. And I mean, even like the teams going down this season, that's something maybe we could end on. Some players that we'd like to see move, because there's definitely I've got a couple that definitely have interested me.
Trying to think now whether I've got any.
I've got a one definitely from Fulham, and I've got another one from West Brom. One from West Brom. He's got to move. The one from West Brom. We'll talk about him later.
Yes.
But Newcastle, obviously now, Steve Bruce, he doesn't look like he's really going anywhere, but they've got another big window to look for. I mean, I don't know. I mean, obviously, one of the big managers that's out there, but isn't really out there, you know, Rafa Benitez. I'm not exactly certain where he is. I don't know if he's back. Is he back in Spain, China?
He went to China, and then the Chinese Super League went to pot, so he's kind of on holiday.
Yeah.
Kind of like, like Jack Nicholson, what he does in his spare time. He sits on his yacht with a hot dog. I picture that's what Rafa Benitez does on his weekdays.
I mean, but realistically, Arsenal could look at him. Spurs could look at him.
I think he's Wolves bound.
I think, look, we said it a while ago on the podcast, didn't we? Rafa to Wolves. I don't know why. That just made a lot of sense to me.
It does. It fits. And I think that's the only way that they keep Ruben Neves. I genuinely think that's the only way they keep Ruben Neves is bringing a top manager like Rafa Benitez in.
But I mean, Ruben Neves, I feel like he's definitely a player that is at risk of like potentially like getting fed up with Wolves. But this season hasn't been great for him. I mean, also like, you know, like Raul Jimenez, like last season, there were like links of him potentially going to United. There were like other clubs that are interested in him, but that kind of all really fell. I think the United ones were actually very, very legitimate, but I just don't think it went to fruition in the end. But he'd inherit a competent team, but he just have to get them playing the way they need to be playing again. I mean, you never know. I mean, he could go in there and make Adama Traore a really good player again. I think Adama Traore maybe is like a striker. Who knows?
Oh,
he's got it.
If Adama Traore can finish, then he will be one of the most deadliest players in the Premier League.
He would be. I mean, for a brief period of time, he was. For a brief period of time, he was finishing, and it was terrible.
He put 2 past City in that game in 2019?
Yeah,
and he was on top of the world. He was great last season for Wolves. I'm pretty sure he got in the Premier League team of the season.
Yeah,
he was that good.
But like realistically, Rafa could go to. He 100% could do Wolves, but also I still think he is a good enough manager to get a good job in the Prem.
Yeah.
Another manager that's name's been thrown around quite a lot, obviously, is Graham Potter. I know, obviously, Chris Stonage, massive fan of Graham Potter. I like Graham Potter as well. Maybe not as much as Chris, but you know, Chris.
The theory is Chris dreams about Graham Potter on the regular.
Yeah. I think he does. but obviously, you know, again, a very young, progressive, exciting manager. Dad's got a lot of his players playing some good football, and if Brighton strikers could finish, who knows? That XGFC, mate. But again, Graham Potter's another manager who could go to one of these big clubs. But I would have, for Arsenal fans, if I was an Arsenal fan, I would have loved them to have been in a situation where it's like, all right, what manager are we getting in? Because the other thing that I saw earlier today, now I don't know how legitimate this is, but I saw a link regarding Zidane potentially leaving Madrid.
Oh, he is.
Allegri going to join Madrid. And Allegri has been out of the game for a long time. And for the life of me, I think Arsenal did try and tap him up, but he said no. But it was like reported everywhere that he was learning English and he was speaking very good English. So it was like, oh, where's he going? You know, United was in question, Spurs, you had Arsenal. So, but if he ends up at Madrid, I mean, fair enough. It's probably a job of his caliber. Who knows? We'll have to see more of that later down the line. I mean, Fulham and Wolves, not Fulham and Wolves, Newcastle and Wolves have definitely been an interesting couple of sides this season to
To be
analyse.
fair, whilst they haven't improved dramatically, Newcastle haven't gone backwards. They've finished 12th.
Yeah,
They finished above Wolves. They finished above Wolves.
that's why I don't think enough people are really analysing just how poor Wolves have been and like how reliant they've been on Jimenez, and that's scary. It happens, it does happen, but it's scary.
Yeah.
So I mean, I want to take it down to the bottom half of the table, obviously, because three clubs, we will be saying goodbye to, and it's been a bit of a shame. I think Leeds came up, and Leeds have been fantastic. But the other two that came up, they weren't ready, were they? They weren't ready. But we'll start talking about we'll talk about them for a bit. We'll talk about Sheffield. The worst season, the most embarrassing season you could maybe have. If it wasn't on the pitch being terrible, there was like off the pitch antics. I mean, only recently, like obviously, won't linger on it because it's all there was talks of Ollie McBurney fighting kids.
Yeah, I saw that video. Yeah.
Yeah, make of that what you will. But everything on the pitch for Sheffield has been terrible, and obviously Chris Wilder went. I don't think that was maybe the right decision. I think we'll probably see Chris Wilder managing again quite soon. I don't know if it'll be in the Prem. I don't know.
I think he. I do think he's good. I generally just think it was such a, again, Leicester. It was a one season thing.
Yeah, it was magical, mate. It was incredible, and obviously a large part of that was Dean Henderson in goal, and that's going to be another saga in the summer again, I'd imagine, with Dean Henderson and what's going to happen, because it was the last summer. Are United going to sell him, or they're going to keep him? And then it found out they were going to keep him, but they're also keeping De Gea, which was like, and now I think it's getting even more dicey because Henderson shouldn't have to be a number two. It is what it is.
The last time a top six club sold a number two goalkeeper, they became one of the best goalkeepers in the league. And that's Emi Martinez.
Yeah, and not being funny, but I think every other Premier League fan could sniff that from a mile away. He was such a good goalkeeper.
Great.
And I do agree that it was probably easier to shift Martinez than it was Leno. And obviously they spent more on Leno. But you look at it now, and Arsenal fans have got to be so upset by that because Villa fans love him. And exactly. White, he's a fantastic player.
Villa haven't had a great goalkeeper since maybe even still Pepe Reina wasn't that great. But
I'd even say Argentina haven't had a nailed-on goalkeeper since Romero.
Yeah, Romero's been like the one goalkeeper that I mean they've got the goalkeeper from Porto, I think, that's not doing.
Yeah, I know the one you mean. I'm not going to.
Their names are missed, but
yeah,
I think Emi Martinez is going to be the one that's going to be leading Argentina for the next couple of years.
Yeah, he definitely deserves it.
I mean, yeah, we'll talk about Sheffield United. I predicted them embarrassingly again to finish 11th.
I think I might have. I had them to go down.
I should have smelt second season syndrome from a mile off.
I just saw like the signings they made. To be honest with you, when they signed Ramsdale, I wasn't exactly like, cussing it out too much. I was like, it is what it is. They've signed a young keeper. It may work. It may not. It didn't. It was the Brewster one, and I think both me and I think it was me and Chris voted that as our worst signing of the season in last week's podcast. If you haven't watched it, go and check that one out. But it speaks for itself. We don't need to say any more about that. It was terrible decision making. So without a doubt, they 100% deserve to go down. They've been a shambles. Fulham and West Brom haven't as much. Obviously, West Brom had a sacking, and in comes Sam Allardyce.
In
comes Big Sam, and this is the first time in his managerial career that he's taken the team down, which is obscene to think of. Like, you've got to credit him on that. Like, they bring him in, he's a fixer, he keeps him up, but West Brom was always going to be a tough job. And he said that at the start. I think he said, if I can do this, this will be the biggest, like, win of my managerial career, which, fair enough. I mean, he probably isn't going to stay at West Brom. That's why he just comes in and he does what he does. Still the most consistent England manager of all time. That with that 100% no losses ratio.
I love Big Sam. I love Big Sam so much.
Yeah, but I mean, West Brom they've also been pretty dire, But we mentioned a certain man that I think was probably worth saving at West Brom. I'm sure we've got the same guy. Mr.
Big Sam.
Is it Pereira?
Oh, of course.
There it is. Yeah, he was great. He was great. He is great. It's a bit like Buendia at Norwich. I sincerely hope he doesn't stay at West Brom. He's got to move, man.
I just think teams have got to go for. No one went for Buendia for some reason. No one went for Mateus Pereira. No one went for Cantwell. No one went for Pookie. No one went for any of these players that are now coming back into the Premier League.
And they're not going to sell him now, are they? Because they're going to want him for the Prem campaign. So
exactly.
They lost the chance.
If West Brom keep him, then fair enough. They might come back next season. But West Brom, your teams are just going to have to go for him. No one would have gone. This is the thing. No teams went for the relegation sides last year. Hence why Newcastle swept up Bournemouth. They swept up Norwich. No one went for Gerard Deulofeu. No one went for Ismail Assar.
That one is almost unforgivable.
And Watford came back up, right?
Yeah.
So Watford and Norwich, no one went for them really. No one went for Cantwell. No one went for Sarr. No one went for Deulofeu. I mean, Deulofeu, to be honest, has been at Udinese all year.
But I mean that also just shows that he is that competent of a player. He went and got a move to an Italian top flight side.
He's that good. He's that good. And it's ridiculous for these teams to come back up. So the teams are just gonna have to knock on the door of Big Sam and be like, look, we want Mateus Pereira. We'll give you 20 million. We'll give you 30 million.
And
he's a good young player.
You'd probably get him for around 20, 25 mil. And that would be you'd be laughing because he's going to be good. He's going to be a good player. And also one other player, obviously they managed to get that Diagana on loan from Galatasaray, wasn't it? And I think he was good when he came in. I think he was also a good signing. But maybe that's one that other Premier League clubs can have a look at. They might want to go.
Diagana, didn't they sign him from West Ham?
No, they signed Diagana, but is it Diagna?
Oh yes,
the guy they got from Greg Diagana. They signed from West Ham and
getting mixed up there.
Yeah, and thingy throw a wobbly. Why have I forgotten the West Ham Martin Noble?
Yeah, it's him.
Complete brain fart then. But Martin Noble threw a wobbly on Twitter, which was pretty funny. But yeah, they got this other striker on loan from Galatasaray, and he's also been quite good. But apart from that, it's hasn't been great. But
No.
I mean, what about Fulham? I mean, for Fulham, there's even so many people were saying, oh yeah, Fulham are going to stay up, and they were putting a lot of faith in Scott Parker. Well, nothing wrong with Scott Parker. I just don't think he's ready. I think he's got a bit more time in the oven before he's ready. I saw some people linking him with the Spurs job, and I'm all for it. Go to Spurs, Scott. Make my day.
Please let Spurs finish 14th, Scott.
Please let it happen. But also, it would just be awful. He's got to understand that he can't get tempted, because Frank got tempted too early, and it's ruined Frank's reputation. And that's Frank Lampard, man. That's one of the best footballers of all time.
It's why I want Gerrard to stay at Rangers.
He's got a bit longer, hasn't he? Or maybe even another club before Liverpool. But
not even that. I genuinely do think he will just stay at Rangers, dominate the Scottish League for years, try and focus on. I mean, he's in the Champions League this season, right?
Yeah.
Steven Gerrard has taken Rangers to the Champions League. If he can get into the group stage and then out of the group stage, if he can finish second, I would potentially be like, you know what? I'd be confident in him taking Jurgen Klopp's place.
Yeah. I mean, also, you've got Wayne Rooney. Obviously, it's a bit of a different situation, but Wayne Rooney's kept Derby up, and
just about.
Yeah, by the skin of their teeth. But
they almost had a point reduction that sent them down.
But now, they've got a ground to build on, and he can actually try and start his managerial journey and everything. Frank was doing a fine job at Derby. He was doing a fine job. And why he didn't stay there, I do not know. You get tempted, and obviously it's your old club. You want to go and try it, but I actually am gutted for him. I don't like Chelsea. I mean, I'm a human being. Of course, I'm not going to like Chelsea, you know. but Frank Lampard, man, he's one of the best of all time, and he has just ruined his reputation.
There have been so many really, really good players that just haven't been able to translate it to management. We've seen Gary Neville go over to Spain, and he was terrible. Awful. That's why he's stuck to punditry. Carragher knows that he's not going to be able to become a good manager, so he's stuck to punditry. I genuinely do think Wayne Rooney's going to become the next Steve Bruce. That could end up being one of the worst takes of all time, and my football punditry career could be in the mud right now after calling Wayne Rooney the next Steve Bruce. But Steve Bruce, he's got the reputation amongst us now as being a really bang average manager.
And he was a
class player.
In the world. Yeah,
he was a class player for United, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was he's in all of the United history books, mate.
There we go. He was part of one of the most dominant eras in Manchester United history, yet his reputation reads as a bang average manager that everyone hates to have.
It's a very it's a harsh flip of the coin, isn't it? It is very harsh, but I think it is Rooney, Lampard. They've got to be careful, and so is. And obviously, we were talking about Scott Parker. Scott Parker's got to be careful because he could go down the same route. But I think if we're saving anyone from Fulham, Lookman and Anguissa.
Maybe, yeah, Lookman and Anguissa. I was struggling to think of any Fulham players because they've been really bad.
I mean, because Areola was alone, wasn't he?
Areola, yeah, was alone. I think he came from Real Madrid, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I do have to be a bit like okay about, because he's a good keeper and he had some good performances for Fulham, but he won their Player of the Season and they got relegated. Like that shows how bad they've been. Like if you're not being funny, when De Gea got voted our Player of the Season like 2 years in a row, that was undoubtable he was our Player of the Season. He was incredible, but it also just highlighted how poor United were and how good he was. But like it's a similar situation with Fulham, but it's exemplified even more because at least United were still in the upper half of the table. I mean, Fulham have been relegated with their Player of the Season keeper. Not good.
It's the same with Sheffield United. They voted Aaron Ramsdale their favourite, their Player of the Season.
They didn't, did they?
Yeah. Aaron Ramsdale got their Player of the Season. I mean, I guess because I guess Berg was injured for the entirety. That's a player who people need to rescue as well.
Yeah, he's worth a gamble. He's worth a gamble.
Ramsdale got their Player of the Season.
Yeah,
Sheffield. I don't know who got West Brom's actually.
I'm not sure.
Sam Johnston.
Sam Johnston. Obviously he's been good as well. To be fair, should have mentioned Sam Johnston. I'll tell you what though, I've got a couple of other clubs that I feel like we got to talk about. I mean, we could sit here and talk about every single club this season. We could. But obviously, one manager who again left with a round of applause was Roy Hodgson. You know, he's left Crystal Palace, and Crystal Palace are again a really frustrating side because they over the years they've had little pockets of players that have been fantastic. They've had really good players, and they've got quite a few good players there now. Obviously, you know, a couple of seasons ago, the saga of will Wolf go? Will he stay? Because the fee was like, what was it, like 70 or 80 that was being touted, and I think Arsenal were the ones that were really interested. I don't think anyone else was really as interested as Arsenal. I think Dortmund were interested, but they pulled the plug. But he stayed. I think he said recently again that he hinted that he may want to move, and he's such a good player. Like he is fantastic. Again, their best player for like the last decade, you know what I mean? And that's including whilst he was at United, because I never really count Wilfried Zaha as our own. We never got to make a mark with him, and then he was back to Palace. So, you know, it was what it was. But you know, Zaha now is just like this Premier League staple who never went and managed to get that move, which is a shame.
It's like Letitia though.
Yeah, it is like Letitia. You know, these players, and also there's nothing wrong with it. You know, I mean, Alan Shearer, obviously Blackburn and Newcastle and that, but he's most commonly known at Newcastle. That's where if you thought of Shearer, you think of him in the Newcastle shirt, wouldn't you? And there's nothing wrong with being a one club player, but if the success is there.
You've got to have the talent to back it up, though. Wilfried Zaha's no Alan Shearer.
I know. Like Giggs and Scholes stayed at United their whole career, and they're some of the most decorated Premier League players of all time. Whereas Steven Gerrard spent his entire career at Liverpool and only came out with one trophy. But what, 2 trophies?
Champions League, FA Cup, couple Carabao Cups maybe, or League Cups.
Not too much. Never a Premier League.
No.
And that's, fair play to him now that he's got his first league winners medal over in Scotland. But, I'm not joking.
It's better than what Ole's doing.
Wait till he gets that Gdansk medal, mate. Wait till he gets that around his neck.
Wait till he gets the runners-up medal. Okay.
Don't, mate. Don't, because I'll start crying. But yeah, like obviously, I've lost my point. What?
Ole's the worst manager in the. No, I'm kidding. You know what? We lost track. We started
Crystal Palace.
Steven Gerrard and Crystal Palace.
Hodgson's gone. Another manager's got to go into Palace. I think it's going to be an underwhelming appointment, whoever it is.
Eddie Howe.
Eddie Howe. That is a shit. What? No. Actually, no. Frank. It's Frank. It's going to be Frank.
I don't think Frank's ready.
It's going to be Frank. No,
Frank's not ready.
It's his best chance to get back into the Prem quick. He'll be at Palace for a few seasons, be stagnant, maybe get him playing good, and then maybe get another move. But
if anyone's going to get Eze going as a central midfielder, Frank Lampard could be it.
He's so good.
I'd say Eze is probably their best player this season.
Oh, he's so good. It's such a good song. I remember because we had Ed Aarons on last summer, and he's a massive Palace fan, and he was saying how special he was because he was watching them at QPR. But like he's like a South London boy and everything. Like, but he is so special. So like, I mean, I'm not being funny. Like, I was saying, I think I said it to you. Like, if United sold Jesse Lingard, I'd want to sell Jesse Lingard for 40 million. And then use that money and bring in Eze. That would be my dream Bruno backer. Because imagine, I would hate anyone that would bring Eze in as a backup. It would be almost a crime because he is good and he needs to be playing football. I wouldn't want to
play all 90 minutes of every game. Not for a Portuguese pen merchant.
That man is that Portuguese.
I've said it now.
That Portuguese pen merchant is goated, mate. Yeah, Palace, and then the other club that I thought would be good to have a little look into, because it's hard. I want to talk about Everton briefly.
The team that won the Premier League in November.
Yeah. Obviously, like they started incredibly, and Calvert-Lewin is still a special player. There's every chance Calvert-Lewin could go soon. Because I think as well, he's another player that has to strike while the iron's hot whilst he's in form. Because I'm hoping we take him to the Euros. Because he offers us something different to KANE. I mean, it was surprisingly, he is like one of the best strikers that I've ever seen with his head. Like he's like in recent times, he's so good. But we want to be.
He's 24 as well, though.
Yeah, he's young. He's
got 24.
And I don't even think like for a Premier League club he's that much of a gamble. I wouldn't be opposed to United looking at him when it comes to Cavani going. But obviously, Edinson Cavani for life. He's locked in.
The Uruguayan archer. He's a good player.
He's a hell of a player. But Calvert-Lewin, obviously James Rodriguez, Allen.
James Rodriguez has had a flop this season. He started off the season great and then he just dipped off. Did
someone say that he was their worst player this season? Was it Haas? He said in the last one.
Potentially. I generally, maybe other than Jordan Pickford, maybe, but which is something that we have to think about though, because he just let in 5 against Man City, yet we're taking Jordan Pickford to the Euros. Oh dear. Nick Pope's injured. Nick Pope's injured.
It's what? Who? Johnston, is it?
Yeah, we have to take Sam Johnston. You know what? Joe Hart can come out of international retirement and play for us instead, because that is not happening. Is it too late to bring back Almunia? Remember that saga back in like 2008 where we were trying to get Almunia to play for England?
Yeah, I remember it. It's shocking. I mean,
oh.
I don't know the logistics. I mean, could we have tapped up Laporte to play for England? Obviously, he's now Spanish property, mate, and that is one of. I mean, France don't put many feet wrong. They do what they do for reasons, but my God, and also they're bringing Benzema back for the Euros.
Well, to be honest, France have got Samuel Umtiti, they've got Raphael Varane. They don't really need him, do they? Raphael Varane is probably the same as Laporte at the moment. So
I know this is a side note, right? I know this is, and I want this included in this podcast. There's a bloke who's just outside ours who looks like Nuno.
Give him a shout. See if he wants the United job.
I'm not being funny. That actually might be Nuno Espirito Santo getting stuff out of a van.
He's moving to Worcester so he can.
If it wasn't massively against all morals and ethics, I'd be out there with a camera. Sorry, I got so diverted there.
That's one of the best tangents we've ever gone on in the Average Pundits podcast, and it's the end of season 2 special that we have it.
There we go. That was one for the highlight reel. Guys, I think I've just seen Nuno outside my house. I've got to ask him where he's going. Maybe that is where he's going. Maybe he's changed profession. Fair enough.
He's now a mover.
Okay, I'll put a blunt question. Would you call Everton's season a flop? Would you call Ancelotti's season a flop?
Yeah, because it's Carlo Ancelotti.
Mm.
He's regarded as one of the best managers in the world. They've brought in, amazing players. They've got Alan. Alan is one of the better Brazilian centre defensive midfielders. Yes, he's 30, but he's still a class player. And they brought in James Rodriguez, who's kind of still in his, well, I guess his prime would probably be when he was 24. But
yeah, they got Decore as well.
Yeah, Abdoulaye Decore as well, who's again, he's not too. They've got Richarlison, who's again probably going to lead, or one of the players going to be leading the line for Brazil at going forward. They brought in they had Josh King as well, who's had probably one of the worst seasons ever in the Premier League in terms of going up front. But I think their problems lie basically with their defense. The only player that's shone is Godfrey.
Well, Godfrey and Digne, I'd say.
Yeah, Godfrey and Digne. They've got Mason Holgate, they've got Keane, they've got Nkunku as well.
But Yerry Mina still there?
I don't think so. Oh yes, he is. Yes, he is.
He is still cutting them out.
I think they just need to improve their defense, and then they're fine.
Yeah.
I think they're fine. Maybe Carlo Ancelotti can tempt Donnarumma to go to Everton.
See, that would be a signing and a half, wouldn't it? Let's get Donnarumma to Everton.
They've got no one else. They've got Pickford, and who else they're going to play? Olsen, Virginia.
I don't know.
No one.
I mean, we've given a brief overview of just some of our hot takes this season. Obviously, this has been a fantastic season, and we've thoroughly enjoyed.
And the big point is that United didn't win the league, so I don't have to wear a United shirt.
He did say that. Yeah. So
that is, what? I'll give you credit now. Man United are the second best team in the league. I mean, that's the thing. You can't say that United aren't the second best team in the league right now.
Based on what we've got this season, it's got to be said, mate.
Liverpool were not great for the majority of it, but we finished third. So so I don't know how we finished third. I think it was guaranteed that we got top 4 because of Leicester.
Yeah.
If we won the last game, anyways.
Yeah.
But if we lost the last game, we would have finished outside it. So it's lucky that we beat. It was lucky that we won the last game. And yeah, we're all in the top. We're both in the top 4 for
we're all there. Against all odds, we're all there.
Exactly. United finished in second, which fair play to Ollie. I think he's going to. I said time and time again, Ollie should keep the job, and look what's happened. They're second.
Yeah, he's there, and he's going to be there for a while, for the foreseeable, it seems. But we're going to have a lot to discuss over the summer with the Euros. We will be doing some coverage for the Euros, as well as the usual summer transfer windows, which we love doing. We're going to try and get some more journalists back on that we did last season. But this is the official end to season 2 of the Average Pundits, which is crazy. So to everyone watching this, listening to this, thank you so much for everything that you've done, all the support you've given us. We're going to be taking a 2-week sabbatical just to get our affairs in order, make sure everything is all good, and we can plan some ideas for the future going ahead. But this has been a real groundbreaking season. We've reached a lot of goals, a lot of support, a lot of engagement, and we want to keep growing. We want to keep doing this. So we'll see where we can go. We want to hit the heights. We do.
Yeah. I think we want to keep this going. The second anniversary is just around the corner, going into October, I think. So, we're going to go into that very strong. We're going to have these it's only 2 weeks. You're not going to miss us that much. We've hit massive. We hit 100 subscribers. We're on 151 right now, as you can see just above our heads, and we're growing. We're growing every day. So make sure you keep joining the family. Make sure you keep supporting us on our every social media. Make sure those that are listening on Spotify, Apple Music, everywhere that you're listening on streaming platforms. Thank you so much for your support this year, for this season. And we're going to go into. I think we'll call the summer, the pre-season before season 3.
Yeah.
Getting underway. We will go with the seasons. We'll get the journalists on in the pre-season, and then we'll rock and roll when August rolls around and the teams get back up again.
That we will. And as always, guys, you can get a hold of us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. On Instagram and Facebook, we are The Average Pundits. On Twitter, we are Pundits Average. And if you do want to send us any emails, inquire to be on the podcast, we are theaveragepundits@outlook.com. And if you listen to this on your favorite streaming platform, Apple Music, if you listen to it on Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you get all of your streaming from, give us a little follow on there. And obviously, the all important, if you're watching on YouTube, give us a little like and a subscribe, because it does really help us an awful lot. But as always, thank you very much, guys. Thank you, Reese, for a fantastic season. And we will see you in a couple of weeks. See you next time, guys.
For the latest football content, subscribe to The Average Pundits on YouTube. Follow us on your favorite streaming service and follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.